expense, and Replicon is the system we have chosen. So Keen is going to do a WebEx to show us how to use the new timesheet, the new expense sheet, and enter our time off for booking time off. We'll ask that everybody mutes their phone unless you have a question. If you have a question, feel free to stop Maheen. He'll be glad to answer any questions, or myself during this. And at the end, we'll take any questions again. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you, Stacy. So the first thing that you want to do to access the application is open up browser. We recommend that you use Chrome because it has all the plugins preloaded, and then hit on login.replicon.com, right? So when you go to this page, this is the portal that you would be redirected to. It says welcome to Replicon Customer Zone. Now, the confirmation, the username, and the password will be sent to you by your supervisors and managers, right, or the administrators. So key in your company name, your username, put in your username, and your password, right? So do this and click on login. Do this, you would be redirected to changing your password. So when you log in for the first time, put in your old password that was provided to you originally, and then change your password. This will happen the first time that you log in, and then click on change password and log in. Right. So once you are logged into the application, you'll be greeted by default screen, which is your timesheet screen. Right. These are different modules on the top that you see the highlighting now. So navigate through different modules by clicking on this. Okay. So the first thing that you'll notice on your timesheet screen is the little calendar. We defaulted to the current month that you are in, and the P is the current week that you've logged, right? So the date, it shows you the current week on the date that you've logged in. And the calendar, if you notice, it's highlighted by this light yellow color. Now on the timesheet screen, first thing that you'd want to do is you'd see one default row without any client and project and task. You see client, project, task at the top. You'll see activity and your actual work week, right? So when you make that selection, first go ahead and click on the drop down. Select from the list of clients, the clients that you're working for. In this case, you would first pick the client. Once you highlight the client, you will see the projects that have been assigned to you for the client. Pick the project, and once you select the project, you will see any tasks for that project. So in this case, you will only see the tasks that you do for your project, which is your name. So make that selection, right? Pick on a relevant activity for that project task combination, which is client billable work. All right. And when you actually want to enter your time, you'd activate any given day or a cell by simply clicking on that cell with your mouse. So when I click on this cell, you notice that I make an entry of time with my keyboard, which is 8 hours, and you will see a comment window that pops up. Now the comment window will help you to capture any additional information that you want. So key anything that you want that you've actually done for that client project task. This is optional. You don't have to enter a comment. And when you move away to the next cell to enter, there's a blue little balloon here that indicates that, okay, I have a comment for this day or this cell, right? So you'd go ahead and start entering your time. You don't have to move and click your mouse. You can use your keyboard arrows, the left and right key arrows to key in your time, right? So just get like this, and you can start to enter your time. Right, so this is the first row that I've entered for this client and this project. Now let's say you want to add new rows to your timesheet with a different client and a project. You'd click on the add time row, and again you have a blank time row, right? So again, use the drop down, pick the client you have, it'll show you the projects in that client, pick the task, pick event activity again, and then just go ahead and enter any time that you want, right? So I can enter for a given day on 2 different projects. Right. Now, for people that don't want to use the drop down, what you could also do when you have a blank row is just activate this cell and key in the word or any phrases that you know for the client or the project. So in this case, if I type in heart, it will match off that word heart which is in the client, and it will show me the entire selection of projects and tasks within that client. In this case, if I also know the name of the project, which is Sam, I can just key in Sam. It will show me all projects that have the letter Sam, right? So if I say bench, it will match that off. If you know any letters, if you don't want to do that entire selection, let's say I'm typing, I get this, I make my selection. Right? Hitting on the enter key, it will automatically make that selection for me, this column, and I pick my activity again, and I start to enter my time. Right? Once you've filled in your timesheet, not ready to submit it yet, you want to come back at any given point of time, verify the timesheet, and then submit it. What you could do is click on the little save button here. So click on save. It will give you a message that timesheet was saved successfully. And on the top, you automatically know the difference between your bill hours and your non-billable hours. Right? Now, we'll add a row for a non-billable. When you want to capture non-billable hours, you will not be required to select the client and project. All you will need to do is from the list of activities, let's just say project travel, right? You pick project travel from here, and then you key in your non-billable hours. Okay, that'll do it. You can add any number of rows you want to your timesheet with different combinations of client project tasks that have been assigned to you. You have different combinations. All right. Now, another interesting feature that we have in the timesheet is the option. So let's say you're in your current week, you're filling in your timesheet period, and then you realize that I've already keyed in my time for the same project and task the week before or 2 weeks ago. So do is click on the copy from, and this will give you a new pop-up. And from the copy from, what you can do is the ability to copy from most recently saved timesheet that you have, or you can manually choose the start date of that week from which to copy from. So you will be able to choose from these two options. After you've made your selection, you can choose to include time that you entered, any comments that you've entered on your timesheet, any field values like your activities or your project client task selections or any user-defined fields that you have. So after you've made the selection in your criteria, what you'll be able to do is add rows to the existing timesheet if you just want to add one row, or you could choose to overwrite the timesheet with that timesheet that you're from, whether it's a most recently saved timesheet or it was if you're copying it from a specific period. Since we don't have any valid timesheets in the past, this is a complete new user, you won't see any data here. So you have the ability to copy from previous timesheets. Another feature that you have is click on the add time row. You'll notice that it adds a complete blank row with any selection of client project task and activity. But if I use the little plus icon here, what it will is duplicate the previous row completely with all the selections that I've made. So this icon, it's a duplicate row. If I add time row, it will add a blank time row. Okay. So once you've verified all your entries, any comments, like I said, you enter will be indicated by this blue little icon here, or the balloon, and you will also see those comments show up here. Once you've verified it, you've saved it, you are ready to go ahead and submit your timesheet. Although if I click on submit, it will say your timesheet has been submitted. On the left here, you'll notice under sheets, I've got 3 shortcuts that I can look at my timesheets, right? So they're bucketed into 3 groups, ones that are waiting for approval, one have been approved, and those that have been rejected by your supervisors. Now, for the purpose of the training, this timesheet that I just submitted
I'm sorry,
is auto-approved. Yep.
Is that noise coming from you, or where's that coming from?
I think that noise is coming from Chris Kimmich. Chris, you could mute your phone, please. We're getting a lot of background noise from your phone.
Yep, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. For purpose of this training, I have this timesheet to be approved by system or auto-approved. You'll notice under the approval details here, I'm the user who submitted the timesheet. So this is the action, and the system has approved my timesheet. So it will give me the timestamp when I submitted it, and when your actual so in your case this will be your supervisor or your manager. You will see his name, right? You will see the action that he performed, whether it was approved or rejected, and you will see the date on which he approved it and the time. So if I go into the approved section, you'll notice that my timesheet now is parked here under the approved section. Alright, they were rejected, they would be under the rejected bucket. If they were waiting for approval, you could see it under this. Okay, does anybody have any questions before I move on to the time off? Respect to time.
Is there somewhere where you could get a cumulative number of hours, like a report or something?
It's more for for your managers and your supervisors, but for you, yes, you'll see the total here of the number of hours that you've entered, and the only difference you'll be able to see is between the total hours and the billable hours. So for the users, you don't have access to any reports, or rather you haven't been given access to run any reports.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now what you can also do is fill in your future timesheets up to a month, depending on how you can go forward. So if I choose the next pay period of my work week, I can go to the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, and I will still have access to enter time for the future. Right. After a certain point, your timesheet will say that you cannot enter time for such and such a date in the future. So that you enter your time. So move on to the time off section. Does anybody have any other questions?
I do have one question. What's the difference between the save, cancel, copy from, submit, and book time off icons at the top of the screen versus the bottom? Between them?
Exactly, they're exactly the same.
Thank you.
Yep. So if I have if I add like so many rows, and if I'm altering these sections, I can go from here, or if I'm entering this, I can go from here. It's the same function. There's no difference.
You get a comment about after a certain point we could not add. What is that point then? You can add hours. Hear you response. Repeat. I can't hear it.
Okay. I think that at any given point of time, you cannot go into the future up to say that you started entering your time on the 1st of April. You will be able to go forward 1 month in advance to enter your timesheet. You will not be able to go beyond that period. So to give you an example, if I try and enter my time for, say, June, right? If I'm going to the 3rd of June, I navigate myself there. You get a message saying you cannot create a timesheet period beyond 1 month in advance.
All right.
Okay.
I thought you were saying it the other way around. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the way around, if you need to make any changes, you will still need to email your supervisors or your managers if there are any corrections, and they will reopen those timesheets for you and send them back to you. So you will go under rejected section, make your changes, and resubmit them. So the only difference there will be that your timesheets, the button which says submit, will change to resubmit. You have to make any corrections. So you will reach out to your supervisors or your managers if you already submitted that. Let's move on to your off module now. So when you want to access your time off module, you'll click on the menu here at the top. And like your timesheets, you will again see a calendar, current month, and the date circled, unlike your timesheets, which has the whole week highlighted in light yellow. Here you will see the current date, which is circled with the light yellow ring. An actual calendar that you will use to book time off, or select the days that you want to book time for, and book them, right? On the right hand side, you will again see a drop down with the different leave types or the time off types that you have been assigned or that you can book, right? So in case I'm going to say vacation, when you select the type that you want to book or the type, all you'll do to book is highlight or click on any given day that you want to book, and that gets shaded in a light yellow. We have legends here, like you see under the status, the ones that are waiting for approval. Now, this is still waiting because I haven't yet booked it. Green means that it has already been approved, and orange, what this color is, means that it has been rejected. Now, when you select a particular day that you want to book, it's only then that your balance for this particular leave type or time off type will show. If you look at the little asterisk here, the balance that I have here is an estimate, assuming, right? The system assuming that 15th is a day that I want to take. So it's taking these hours here on this day, and then saying that I'm going to book this, and then showing me my balance. All right. Now, let's say that I want to book a whole range of days, right, from the 15th through the 19th. So all I'll need to do is drag over range, or 15th through the 22nd. So it'll leave out my weekends. My weekends and only calculate my work days. Okay. So first I'm going to show you how we can book one day of time off. So after I've selected the day that I want to book, I'm going to click on the book time off button here, and it will take me to the actual time off booking page. So here again I verify that I've selected the right type time off. If I've got the dates correctly and any comments that I want to enter, I will also check my balance that I have after considering that this is a day that I've booked. Now in this case, 12 hours is defaulted to every user as one full working day. If you still need to book lower than that, what you will do is from this drop down, you can book in increments of full day off or a half day off or a partial day off. So if I say half a day off, it will change to 6. If I choose partial day off, I have the flexibility now to enter any number of hours that I want. So I can take 2 hours off, I take 8 hours off, I can take 6 hours off. So if I say 8, you'll see that this dynamically will update. It will requested time for 8 hours. And the that I have is 6.3.
Is default at 12 hours? Yes. And 9 hours?
It will be at this time because we have to put it at a maximum right now. But now, if you need to book less than you have to just submit a partial day, change it to the correct hours.
Okay. All right.
So once you've done this, you click on submit, and then the booking goes to your managers to approve, right? Now, I can show you how you can do this for a given range. Okay, so now say I want to book from 15th through the 18th. Okay, and I select the time off type that I have my balance here. I click on book time off. All right. Now, you notice 15th through the 18th, if I want to book the 16th and the 17th also as 8 hours, I'm able to do this from this screen. Because I can only book partial days off for the first day, which is the 15th, and the last day, which is the 18th, right? So only those 2 days will get booked any hours that I enter here. Okay. For this reason, if you want to even enter the 16th and the 17th as 8, 8, 8, 8, what we've done is we've integrated the time off booking with your timesheet. I'm going to go back and show you that right now and come back to the screen. So if I go back to my timesheet, pick on the 15th, which is the beginning of the new week, do you see this add time off row button that we have? By clicking on the add time off row, now these are my time rows, my timesheet rows. This is my time off row. So off of here, I can choose time off type, trying on my calendar under this section. And now for the 15th through the 16th or through the 18th, I just key in any hours that I want. I can key in 6, I can key in 2, and that it shows me how many hours that I've requested for. So anything that I add on my time off row will get updated on my calendar, and anything that I book on my calendar will automatically get populated on my timesheet. It's both ways. All right. So to do now, yeah.
I'm confused when we ask for the time off. Let's say it goes from the 15th to the 20th. and you're only able to cut it down to 8 hours for the first day and last day. It's going to take 12 hours for the other days in between there, but then you
do it from, it is correct. If you do it from the time off screen for a range, if you're doing it for a range which is between the 15th through the 19th, then from the time off booking screen, let me open this up in a new window for you. That is correct. So if I choose weekend and I'm booking it from the 15th through the 18th and I click on book time off, that my range is already selected here because I have a start date and I have an end date. So partial days off, it will allow me to book a partial day off for the 15th. Then again, if I say partial day off here, it will allow me to book partial day off for the 18th. But I'm not able to do that for the 16th and the 17th. That's the reason why you have the ability to book any hours on your timesheet for that week that you are in. If I'm in my current week, say from 14th of April to the 20th, and you're actually entering your time, and you realize that, hey, on the 18th I was supposed to book time off, what I can do is click the add time off row, and from here.
So we'd go ahead and put it on the time off icon or in that module, but it's just going to reflect the raw number of hours out of our balance until we actually book the time off.
Well, real quick, Pat, you can always book individual days for each day of the week, and then you can change it to the correct hours. So it'll just be individual days for the whole week. You can do 8 hours on individual days, and then you'll have the correct hours showing.
So what I'm saying is book them one day at a time. So if you're taking 2 weeks off, you have to book 10 days individually.
Or
8 hours
days,
a day.
didn't you do?
You can report the hours any which way. It doesn't have to be reported in 8-hour days. If you get a 40-hour week, you can do 2 hours on the first day, 12, 12, and then 2 hours on the partial the last day. That'll give you 40 hours.
So, I'm just not getting it because it seems like it's not going to calculate. Like we're looking at the screen now, see it says 48 hours. I really am only going to take 40. So we adjust those special days to whatever you need to adjust them to get it down to 40?
That is one way of doing it, correct.
Okay.
It seems like the easiest way to do it is to do from the timesheet. And you can determine whatever your hours are from the timesheet.
Correct.
Back on the
That is
time
correct.
off sheet. Yes.
Correct. In order to book time off, you need to use this book time off calendar to book future time off with your supervisor. Instead of using the current time off sheets that y'all use now, we'll be booking it through Replicon and get
So we don't send an email anymore saying I'd like to take X days off. You know,
That's correct.
We just put it in here.
You'll book it through here. It'll go to your supervisor for approval. When you're booking it through here, they will assume this is spoken to your client and it is approved with them when you're booking it.
And it's put in the comments. I see there's a box that says comments, so we can put that information in there.
I'm taking a full week, 8 hours a day off. You know, anything like that would be fine.
So for that we already have scheduled and approved, is it going to be built in here for us, or will we need to do that once we go up? We need to go ahead and resubmit them.
It's been addressed. Good point there, Pat. I'll bring that.
Well, with the sheet, we can only book a month out. How far in advance can we book time off?
I'm just coming to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Trying to help out. Segue. There we go.
So, like Stacy said, if you want to book time off right off your timesheet, and if you know that you have different hours that you want to enter on every different day, then you can use the timesheet to add a time off row and enter those hours individually. But let's just say you're planning vacation 2 months down the line or 3 months down the line, then what you can do is use this little arrow here to scroll down months. I can go, say, in June, right? I want to book sick in June. So my balance then, if I have any accruals or if my balance has been updated, all of that is calculated, and then I can just do it like this. Now, the only reason why you would need to book that partial day off is because your days now are defaulted to 12, but if you need to book anything lesser than 12, that's when you'd use the partial day off or your timesheet, right? You just want to book full days off, which are 12-hour days, then I don't really need to go and select that partial day off. I can select the entire range and I can book time off for the future. Any time off that I book on the calendar can be, it's not limited like your timesheet. So I can go even to December and book my New Year's Day off. I can book whatever vacation that I want. Direction on this. I have balance. I'm able to book those days. I'm off type.
But those days, isn't it going to take 12 hours for each of those 5 days?
Yes.
That's back to it. It's an artificial number. Your number of hours. You should. You're taking 52 instead of 40.
To make the adjustment on the timesheet for that week.
On when we submit it?
Is that Stacey?
Well, you make the adjustment on the timesheet for that week, but if it's a future, then what you could also do is you can make your adjustments, like Stacey said, for the first and the last day, so it totals up to 40 for that week. Right in the middle are going to take up 12.
If what hours deducted from your total remaining, you put them on your timesheet for that week, or when you book your time off?
It's the same. So if I book it, I'm going to show you that now. So I'm going to pick the 15th, and I'm going to say booked off, right? So I'm just going to say 8 hours for this day. You'll notice that it's already deducted 8 and shows me the balance that I have after deducting 8, which is 156.3. If I click on submit, it's approved, and it automatically shows on the calendar. That's the 15th. I've got 8 hours of when that I've taken. If I go back to my timesheet, 15th, you'll automatically see that a time off row has been added with 8.
I'll book the 15th through the 19th, and partial days for the 15th and 19th. The 3 middle days are going to be 12 hours each, correct?
Yep, that is correct. So right. That's why you'll add those from here, right? If I add 8 and 8 19th here and click on submit, when I go back to my time off calendar, you'll see, okay, I have to have approved.
Okay.
So okay. I was in this as a different time off type. That was my mistake. So let me use the vacation time off type. Okay, say 8. No, I'm not going to use 8 as an example. I'm going to say 6. I'll say 4, 5. Okay, that's 23 hours. So I'm going to submit this now from the 22nd through the 25th. Has been approved. Notice all the ones that I submitted on my timesheet are here. Second, which is 8 hours, the 23rd, which is 6, the 24th, which is 4, and the 25th, which is 5. Okay, the reason that each day is to 12 is because that's the maximum that people can book. Now, if it was set to 8, then you'll not be able to enter 12 because your limit is 8. If you try and book 12 when your hours per day are set to 8, it gives you an error saying that you cannot book 12. To make that adjustment either when you actually book the time off from here, or you have to go into your timesheet and key in your hours there, or for that week. I can explain if you're still confused. Is everyone still confused?
No, I get it.
I get it.
Good. Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Now, once you've booked your time off, right? Let's say in the future or current month, and you don't have to navigate through the calendar to know your time off, right? You don't have to scroll every time and see, okay, what's my time off for the future? What time off did I have in the past? I want to look at my sick balances. So what you can do is look at the shortcut here called My Time Off Bookings. Click on this. Now, what it will allow you to do is filter your time off by these 4 fields that you have, right? So I can filter it by my timesheets, the approval status, waiting, approved or rejected. I can also filter by the actual type that I want to see. So let's just say I want to see my vacation that I've taken between the 1st of April through the 1st of October. So I put my start and end dates and I click on search. So everything that I've applied for, either whether it's been approved, rejected or waiting for approval, will show up in this list. So from this list, if I need to make any changes for future time off bookings, I can do it from here. Now, your level of access has been set only to change time off bookings or edit time off bookings for future, not ones that have already been approved. To change those again, you will have to get in touch with your manager and supervisor, and they will change that for you. So you list of all the time off types in this window here. Now, after you've seen this, again, we've got a shortcut to go directly back to your book screen. So after you've looked at this information, if you made any changes and you want to book time off again, you click on book time off and it takes you back to the screen. Right? So again, from here, the type of time off that you want to take, put in your start and end dates. Suggest if you want to do them day by day, you can select the day, select partial day or a full day off. Submit your comments, enter your comments and click on submit. Okay. Now another feature that we have is any time off that you have on your calendar, on your time off calendar. So let me go back to the calendar. I've got these days now for the 15th, 22nd, 23rd through the 25th. I can click on export to Outlook. You've got basic instructions here. So what this does is that it downloads the .vcs file that you can import or export from Replicon and import it into your Outlook. Now you can do this at 3 levels again. All bookings that have been scheduled for the future, just the bookings for the current month, which is April, every entry that I have on the calendar, or I can choose specific start and end dates and export all of those bookings that I have on my calendar to my Outlook. So I select what I want, click on export. It will download the .vcs file. You can open it with your Outlook and it will sync it with your Outlook. Okay, the users that use Outlook. We also have iCal feed that we're working on that will sync it with third-party calendar applications like Gmail. So that's going to come soon, probably in a week or so. So that will be another option that you'll see below the export to Outlook, which is called the iCal feed. Okay, that's how you book your time off. If there are any questions now, I can address those.
I have a question for Stacy. Will we still need to send an Outlook appointment to our managers?
That will be up to them, but I think they'll be using the time off in Replicon to manage your time, because they'll be able to see your time on their screen.
Okay.
Shall I move on to expenses?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Now, to access your expenses, again, you will click on the expenses. Now, completely different. You will not see any calendar for the expenses like your timesheet and the time off. Now, expenses are completely ad hoc, so every time you go to this, you will need to add a new expense sheet. So you will click on add. it will give you this message that it's generating a new expense sheet. And this is what you'll see on your expense sheet, right? You will see a description for the expense sheet. This is not a description for the expense. This is a description for the expense sheet, right? You will put in the date, which is your week ending date here. Now, like your timesheet where you could filter or choose client project task, you have a filter by here, which is your actual client. So
Excuse me, what are you typing in the description?
you will put the
Yes, your client name and the week ending date, and the date should be the week ending date also.
okay. And from the filter bar, you will choose the client, any or the only project that is within this client will show up. If you have more, it will show up more projects that you can choose from. Now you will enter the date here, like Stacy just said. Then you will enter the detailed description for the expense. So if you have airfare, you will enter airfare or air travel, put in the date that you've traveled. You will choose from the list of expenses that are listed for you to choose from or allowed for you to pick from. Again, like a type ahead feature, you can type in those 3 letters and then it will show up the corresponding expense type. So choose the expense type. Now by default, the bill to client and the reimburse will be checked. So if there's any expense that is non-billable and you want to uncheck this, you have the ability to uncheck these two, right? If you've already paid for the expense, select the payment type, right? If you be reimbursed for it from here, then key in the actual amount of the expense, right? Now what you can do now is upload all your expense receipts right off of this screen. So for every individual row that I have, I can upload an individual receipt. Or if I've got all my expense receipts consolidated into one document that I've scanned, I will need to upload it on the first row, right? First expense row. So click on the upload icon. It will allow you to choose a file from your local drive. Choose any format that you want, up to 15 megabytes, and then click on upload. Your manager or your supervisor is going to review this. He will be able to view that receipt and then approve your expenses. Right, and upload them individually here if you've got detailed descriptions for each expense. So if you've got different dates, you've got, let's just say you've got airfare here with the date that you've traveled on, and then you've got mileage and you've got everything. In case it's mileage, you will total the total number of units into the actual amount and put in that total amount here, and then again upload your receipts. If you've got all the receipts, you upload them on the first row. Okay. Now, if you want to add expenses to a different client and to a different project, then you would need to click on the Add Project at the bottom here. So when I click on Add Project, you'll notice I have 3 more blank rows, right? And I can choose different client now. Then I put in the date, I put in the detailed description, I put in the amount, I upload the receipt. If I've already paid for it, I choose the payment type.
And what do we put in the description? Because the type, doesn't the type already describe what the expense is?
It does. It does, but for transferring into QuickBooks, we need a description in that field, and it needs to be whatever the expense is.
Okay, now all the expenses that I've entered, the details of the expenses that I've entered here, if I click on the detail button here, what it will do is extract all of that information and show it to me in this little window. So again, if I just want to quickly review the expense that I've just entered, I again have all of that information in this format. So again, I have the date incurred, the description, which is the detailed description of the expense, the type, the bill and reimburse, my payment method, and the amount. So this is a quick check that you will do of what you've entered if you want to. Okay. Again, for a different client, you would add projects. So you will see this new row or 3 new rows, and then you will choose the other clients that you have, choose the project, and go through the same procedure again. Now, as you're entering your expenses, let's just say you realize that this expense should have ideally been on this client or for this project, right? So by using this little option, you can move a complete expense row to a different client and for that client. So if I use this now, it will to move that entire row or that line of expense to another client. Right? Choose that client and the project and click on OK. You'll notice that airfare from client has moved to no one now. Okay. Now what I can also do is I can duplicate an expense row. Just like my timesheet where we had the duplicate row option, and click on the duplicate row, and it will add it at the bottom with the exact same thing that I've entered. All the options that I've chosen or all the attributes of my first expense row will be duplicated here. Okay, if I want to add blank expense rows, I can just click on add new blank rows. So if you need 3, you can use the little delete line here and keep whenever you want, right? So like my timesheet, I can keep adding to one expense sheet for different projects and clients. So I save the expense sheet and I can come back, add to it, upload new receipts, save it again, come back, make changes, and then finally when I'm ready to submit it, I can submit the expense sheet.
I have a question. There's times when I might purchase airfare in advance. So should I just make the description match what the airfare is for?
That's all airfare. You should have airfare and the dates of travel in that description. And
okay.
That you can still do the prepaid airfare as you were.
Okay. Thank you.
So once you've entered your expenses, you click on save. Okay, I need to put in a description here, so I'll just say, put in my name, save. So my expense sheet now is saved with the tracking number. So if I want to go back to the expense sheet, add, yeah, sure.
I do put no then in the description, but I'm thinking Stacy wants our initials, that whole DM weekend. Is that what you want as description? Since we're client name down below.
Description next to the type? No, right there. I just need you to put airfare and the dates of travel.
No, I'm talking about up at the very top of the expense sheet where it says description.
Yes, your client and the week ending date.
So we're not going to have our initials like we're doing now with the email.
Your name will be attached to this based on your login.
Okay.
In detailed description, can't we just say airfare week ending, blah, blah?
I need the dates of travel.
The out and the day back?
Yeah, you can just put 4/27 through 4/29.
Okay, you can save the expense sheet, and when you open up the expense sheet again, if there are any more new receipts to, or if there are any changes that you need to make or add new expense rows, you can do that. And finally, when you're ready to submit it to your manager, you will click on submit. So now, unlike my timesheet or my time off, it will give me a pop-up. Are you sure you want to submit your expense sheet for approval? When you click on OK, your expense sheet has been submitted and you get a tracking number for that expense sheet, right? So like our timesheets, we've got these 4 buckets that the expense sheets will be parked under. So the first one will just list out the expenses for me, the ones that are waiting for approval, the ones that are approved and rejected. So if I go under approve now, you'll see that this expense sheet has been approved by the system. So if I had any receipts that I had uploaded, I can look at those by just clicking on the receipt list, and it would show me the receipt list, right? If there are any receipts attached to this expense sheet.
I have a quick question on that. What if after we submit the expense report, we find that we forgot to add something? How do we deal with that?
You will have to send out an email to your supervisors and managers so that they will be able to reopen the expense sheet for you, and you can make that change. So they'll have to reapprove it.
Thank you.
Could you go back to the area where you were entering expenses? Okay.
Open up a new expense sheet. No,
okay.
this is already approved.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's like I'm going to enter a new one.
Yep, sure.
Okay, so let me, and then I don't see any copy button.
Yeah, for the expenses, you don't have you can't copy from previous expenses because, like I said earlier, the way we've designed expenses in Replicon is that they're completely ad hoc in nature, right? So the date that they've been incurred could be different. It could be before, or you could be entering the expense after you incurred it or for a future expense. So you don't have the ability to copy. You can only copy from lines or duplicate actual expense items or rows of expenses within the expense sheet. You can copy from one expense sheet to the other.
So just make a comment, and I'm sorry to be a downer. It's just like at least doubled. To answer that.
Verizon Wireless. The wireless customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later. Announcement 1, switch 17-2.
Are you still there?
Yep.
The Verizon Wireless.
Anyway, I
The
just wanted
wireless
to
customer you
comment.
called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later. Announcement 1, switch 17-2.
Anyway, at least for me, this is speaking, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else, but my hotel's always the same. My car is almost $1. My mileage is the same every week. If there was going to be an ability to copy anything, it would be expensive. Because now you're going to have to enter them every single time, enter a description every single time. There's not going to be any copy function. So it's really increased the time it's going to take to complete the expenses. Just wanted to just that, and I'm sure you already realized it.
Right.
If you want to add a copy function, it'd be good to have it here on the expense module.
Also, on that same, for those that don't scan receipts this time and email them in, we have to scan her.
Yes, you can also take a picture from your smartphone of the expense and upload that, right? Because the browser that the application supports any smartphone browser, so it's completely Java enabled. So you can log in to this application from your browser. Phone. If you have a smartphone, it will allow you to select each of these cells and upload the result of your smartphone. It's an option, but yes. To the copy function, what you can do is, if you have an expense sheet that you've entered and you save that expense sheet, you've not resubmitted it, right? So you can copy actual descriptions from that expense sheet. So you can always have one template saved, which you're not going to submit, and store all of your information in that template, like your hotel, your car, like you just mentioned, and use that to copy from to a new expense sheet and just paste those values here and go ahead and submit it. I know what can completely make sense. We've had other customers request us for that. So something that we're pondering about doing, but as of now, that's not supported in the application.
Any questions regarding expenses at this time or any of the other applications?
Any questions?
This is Chris. When is this going to start? Do we know that?
We're expecting week ending 4/20, so there'll be an email sent out beginning of next week with more information regarding that, and it'll have to let everybody know when the start date will be. You'll get your login IDs and passwords and whatnot that week before we go live.
Oh, I do have a quick question. Mahim, do you all have a quick tip sheet or a quick reference guide or anything like that?
Yep, it's right off when you log in. When you see your name here, you'll see the little help icon here. So if there's any help that you need with respect to entering expenses or timesheet or booking time off, or you need to navigate through the application, you can use this, and it will allow you to go to the relevant section. And you search option, right? So you can search for anything that you want to do, and use here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Is there any more questions with respect to the other two modules that we discussed, the timesheet or the time off, the copy from option? No.
All right.
Not until we start to use it. But
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, it's not that difficult to use. I mean, it's really user-friendly, intuitive. So yeah.
Yeah. But we'll be around to help everybody when everybody starts using it the first time. So.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody for attending, and feel free to email me or Steve with any questions that you have before that time, and we'll see if we can get them answered for you.
All right.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stacy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.